In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 college basketball games happening on November 15, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 college basketball games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Connecticut versus BYU. UConn steps into this matchup with the kind of steady force that settles a room. They play in Boston, which gives them a crowd that feels familiar. Their early games show a team that knows itself. They defend with purpose, they move the ball with intention, and they finish plays without waste. Their guards stay in front of the ball and pressure every dribble. Their big man controls the paint and forces opponents to think twice before attacking the rim. The pace stays measured, but the pressure rises with each possession. BYU brings talent and scoring, but they travel far and face a setting that leans toward Connecticut. They rely on quick bursts and open floors, but those chances shrink when faced with a team that closes space and forces a slower rhythm. BYU has a lineup with firepower, but they also face key absences and shaky depth. When the game grows physical and the crowd grows loud, the edge sits with the steadier team. As our first pick for this matchup, the Connecticut Huskies to cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The total asks whether this becomes a run-and-gun contest or a methodical fight. The number sits high. It expects long sprints, fast breaks, and early clock shots, but both teams show defenses that shape the game and limit space. Connecticut's early results point to a team that slows opponents and forces them to work for each look. They switch without confusion and rotate without panic. BYU, even with a strong offense, has kept opponents in check as well. Their scoring threats stay active, but they now face a defense with length at every position. Connecticut will miss a key young wing, and another remains uncertain. That reduces their spacing and nudges them toward a slower half-court plan. BYU's best choice is to avoid rush shots that lead to runouts. They need to protect the ball and control the clock to keep the game within reach. A neutral court often dulls shooting comfort. The pace tightens when both sides understand what the game demands. The matchup leans toward a lower possession count and fewer clean looks than the number suggests as our second pick for this matchup. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Maryland versus Marquette. Maryland walks into Fiserv with a clear identity from 3 very different games. They crushed Coppin State, then crashed to earth in that rock fight loss to Georgetown where they shot 25% from the floor, then answered with an 84-64 win over Alcorn State. That path gives them a 2-1 record with a scoring margin of plus 10.7 even though they hit only 40.5% from the field and 28.2% from 3. The reason is simple. They win on the glass and they win at the line. They sit at plus 5.3 in rebounding, and they make 24.3 free throws per game at 82%. That kind of volume and accuracy keeps them in games when jumpers rim out. Farrell Payne is the center of that plan. He puts up 20 points and 8 boards per night, shoots 64% from the floor, and has hit 28 of 32 free throws. Guards Andre Mills and David Coit bring balance from the perimeter with more than 22 points per game and 14 made threes between them, so defenses cannot just sit on Payne in the paint. Miles Rice is on the report with a foot and ankle issue. He missed the Coppin State and Alcorn State games but dropped 19 points in his single appearance against Georgetown. He sits in the questionable bucket, which means this handicap treats any minutes from him as a bonus. Forward Solomon Washington has not suited up this season and sits with an ankle problem, and wing Rakes Passmore is out for the season with an Achilles tear, so this current Maryland rotation, built around Payne and a transfer-heavy backcourt, is not a stopgap. This is the group they plan to ride. Across from them, Marquette owns a 3-1 record and has yet to lose at home. They score 86.5 points per game with a margin of plus 15.5, but those numbers sit on top of a game where they gave up 100 points to Indiana on a neutral floor. They now run their backcourt without point guard Sean Jones, who went down with a shoulder injury in practice and is expected to miss time. Chase Ross has stepped into a featured role, and Ben Gold cleans the glass, so the talent is not in doubt. The question is how that group handles a physical Maryland side that pounds the lane, eats space on the boards, and lives at the stripe. On paper, that is the profile of an underdog that holds up against pressure and stays within a number that has drifted out to Marquette minus 7.5 in some spots. Add the memory of last season's 78-74 loss, the return of their old coach to Milwaukee, and a halftime banner ceremony for Gerald McNeil that pulls some focus to the past, and you get a home favorite with extra emotion and a road team with a simple job. Win the paint, win the foul count, and let the points take care of the spread. As our first pick for this matchup, the Maryland Terrapins to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. On raw scoring alone, the total mark sits under the early output for both teams, with Maryland at 75.7 points per game and Marquette at 86.5. Even if you shave some of that down for small sample noise, you still get two teams that attack the rim and draw fouls at a high rate. Maryland makes 24.3 free throws per game at 82%. Marquette adds 20.8 made free throws per game at 75.5%. Free throws stop the clock and add points in a steady drip, and both teams treat the stripe as a core part of their offense. Not an afterthought, turnovers build the case as well. Marquette forces 16 turnovers per game and racks up 10.5 steals. Maryland forces more than 17 opponent turnovers per game. That kind of pressure leads to live ball breaks, fast possessions, and short shot clocks where the first clean look often goes up. Marquette wants to score in the 80s in this building. Maryland leans on paint touches and foul pressure to keep pace even when threes do not fall. A respected projection for this matchup lands in the mid-70s to low 70s for each side, around a 76-72 type game, which already points above the current total band. When you mix that baseline with an aggressive defense on both sides, high free throw volume, and the extra spark that comes with a circle game on the calendar, the setup gives this matchup more paths to a game in the 100s and 50s than to a slow 63-59 grind. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Oklahoma versus Nebraska. Nebraska walks into the Sanford Pentagon with a profile that gives bettors a steady floor. Their first three games show a team that guards well, scores with purpose, and plays within its structure. The defense has held opponents far below comfort level, and the offense has moved the ball through its core group without strain. The rotation has stayed intact. Aside from two depth pieces who have not shaped the early season identity, Nebraska's main contributors handle the offense with balance, and the team spreads production in a way that keeps the pace under control. Oklahoma brings a sharper offensive edge, but its early losses showed how a physical front court and patient half-court execution can stretch its defense. Nebraska fits that model. The setting helps Nebraska too. They know this building and respond well to the kind of neutral site noise that usually softens teams Oklahoma enters without that familiarity. Put these ideas together, and Nebraska holds a cleaner path through matchups and tempo. As our first pick for this matchup, the Nebraska Cornhuskers to cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The total tells a different story. Odds makers placed it in a range that points toward a fast pace, but the team's combined results lean much lower. Oklahoma's games reached high totals when the matchups pushed them into long runs. Nebraska's games settled lower because they dictated pace and disrupted rhythm. When you match a high-variance offense with a defense that forces long possessions, the ceiling drops. Neutral site games add another layer: new rims and a new backdrop, slow shooters. A team that wants control, like Nebraska, pushes the pace down even further. The number on the board reflects Oklahoma's scoring bursts, not the full picture. A more measured game fits these teams better than a track meet. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Clemson versus Georgetown. Clemson walks into this matchup with a steady pace and a clear sense of what works. The Tigers have handled their first three opponents with strong defense, smart passes, and clean possessions. Their scoring comes from several players who stay active and efficient, and the rotation looks steady with everyone on the same page. They protect the ball, move it with purpose, and use their size in the paint without rushing shots. Georgetown has also started well, but it leans on heavy free throw volume and has not found a rhythm from three. The Hoyas rebound well and play with energy, but they have yet to face a team that limits mistakes the way Clemson does. Each player mentioned here is either active and available or clearly listed as out, and no roster notes conflict with what we see on the floor. With the spread set in a small range, this game becomes about which team handles pressure and avoids empty trips. Clemson's structure and balance point toward the steadier side in that type of contest. As our first pick for this matchup, the Clemson Tigers to cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The total number sits in a range that assumes both teams land near the low 70s. Clemson and Georgetown have produced strong scoring so far, and both teams use possessions in ways that keep the scoreboard moving. Clemson shoots well from deep and shares the ball, while Georgetown gets to the line often and collects second-chance looks through strong rebounding. Both backcourts stay healthy and control the offense without many wasteful plays. That cuts down on broken possessions and brings a steady flow to the game. The season data, foul rates, and shot profiles all point to a matchup that holds its pace without long dry spells. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. New Mexico versus New Mexico State. The Rio Grande rivalry brings its usual edge, but this season carries a sharper tone. New Mexico changed direction in the offseason, yet the program still carries the weight of last year's strong finish. They opened this season with 3 wins, each one steady and controlled. They push the pace, but they do it with purpose, and their defense shapes the game more than their speed. The early numbers show that they turn teams over, close out space, and limit clean shots. Their core rotation is intact and active, and the roles look defined. Howell moves the ball, Bulgin cleans the glass, Hall scores in rhythm, and Chall locks down the paint. The few injury concerns sit on the fringe of the main rotation and remain day-to-day, so they do not change the team's larger identity. New Mexico State arrives with energy, but they have faced limited resistance so far. Their main scorer has carried a large load, and his hot start gives them a puncher's chance. Still, the matchup leans toward the deeper group with more ways to create stops and steady offense. When both teams settle in and the game grows tight, the roster with proven size and length tends to hold control. That points us toward the visitors. As our first pick for this matchup, the New Mexico Lobos to cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The total number hints at pace, but also warns that one dry stretch can change everything. Past meetings ran high, but those games came with different coaches, systems, and rotations, so they cannot guide this one. The current season data shows 2 defenses that limit clean looks. New Mexico holds teams to low shooting marks from the field and the arc. New Mexico State has done the same in its first 2 outings, even if the opponents were lighter. Both groups have leaned on interior offense more than perimeter shooting. Neither side has found consistent range yet, and neither team has pushed many free throws through the net. That combination often drags the score into slower water. The rhythm of a rivalry game tends to reward discipline, not fireworks. With that in mind, this matchup projects closer to a controlled battle than a scoring surge. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.